We welcome you in the Sam and Cole podcast as we get ready for the very first preseason game of the year for the Jaguars. There's a new coach for the Armada again, and all kinds of things going on in the Olympics. This was a busy weekend, by the way, in Jacksonville sports, Sam. Sometimes the calm before the storm, but man, the Sharks winning in overtime. You had Furyk shooting 58, Russell Knox winning. If you were a Jacksonville sports fan, you had plenty to bite off this weekend.
Yeah, there's a lot to talk about. And I guess we could start with the Jaguars and the way that things happened with the scrimmage last week. You know, it's kind of interesting because just from a casual fan standpoint, if you watched, you might have said, wow, they didn't play particularly well. And, there wasn't that much really that you liked there. Or you could have looked at it and said, wow, the defense is a lot better. Because they really haven't had anything that would challenge the offense, particularly last year as they started to emerge as guys who can make plays. This year, the defense is considerably better, obviously faster, more experienced. And I think that's showing it even in practice today. The offense was not I don't know if you would call that sharp or what you would call it, but it still is it's a work in progress against a defense that looks in its current configuration, and you hope that it gets there to be at least competitive as opposed to what it's been the last few years.
One of the things I took away from the scrimmage was Allen Robinson is still really good.
That one-handed catch Ramsey was really good.
Yeah, you don't worry about that. They have work to do on the offensive line. Not just determining who's going to play there, but how they come together. And offensive lines, it's 5 people working as one, so it takes longer to come together. And I remember Tom Coughlin once saying that offensive linemen don't take big leaps forward. It's slow, steady, incremental improvement. And when 5 guys have to do that together, you expect the slow, steady, incremental improvement to happen slowly and over time. Dante Fowler looked very good early. And when he looked good, the offensive line looked bad as a result. So I think we still need to see which one of those two things is more true. Is it that Dante Fowler is really good, or is it that the offensive line really is struggling, or maybe a little bit of both, which is probably the case. And we'll see what the Jaguars need to work on. Then the other storyline to me out of the scrimmage was Julius Thomas caught the touchdown, but other tight ends are allowed to catch, yeah?
Yeah, although neither Koyak or Thomas early on seemed to be able to hang on to the football. I'm not sure if that was under the lights. Koyak, you understand. Okay, he's still a second-year, first-year player, or whatever you want to call him. Got to spend last year on the practice squad. But, Julius Thomas is supposed to catch everything that's even catchable, and didn't do that. That offensive line situation won't be settled until Kelvin Beaton gets in there and competes, regularly, which will probably start happening the first of next week, which I think is a little concerning because now, like you said, it's not 5 guys working together. Today in practice, they had Josh Wells off guard, and they had Luke Jokel at that left tackle position all day today, whereas Jokel played a lot of guard in the scrimmage. And I had Mo Williams as one of the analysts on our live broadcast. I thought what he said was pretty insightful from the standpoint of a guy who obviously started every game that he ever played here in Jacksonville. He said it's pretty obvious that they recognize that Luke Jokel is a good football player, but they're not convinced that he's a good quarterback. And and that's pretty. That seems so simple. But it seems very apparent that that's the case. And they're trying to figure out whether he can play left tackle. If not, he'll be somewhere on this team, even if he's the swing tackle.
You can hide a guy at guard a bit, especially in this day and age of pass, happy offenses. You can't really hide a guy at left tackle. He's going to be exposed because good pass rushers go over on that side, come off the edge, and take off after the quarterback's blind side. So you can't fake it at left tackle in the NFL in this day and age. And it's interesting. Orlando Pace going to the Hall of Fame, and you look back on whether it's, that there were 3 guys who were really top offensive tackles at the same time. You and I have talked about this before with Baselli, Pace, and Walter Jones. Those were kind of the 3 Since then, is there an offensive tackle that, Sam, you think at some point you'll be talking about as a Hall of Fame selector?
Joe Thomas's name might come up, but you're right. I mean, he's not a guy that, oh yeah, we're going to talk about him. You're right. It hasn't been that, even though there's plenty of money there. I mean, if you're the first pick in the draft or the second overall pick in the draft, there's plenty of money to be made in the initial and certainly in a second contract. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe all those guys are choosing basketball now, since you can sit on the bench for 10 years and make $1 billion.
I would sign up for that right now. As a matter of fact, I've been sitting on benches for a long time and made far less than that, Sam. I don't know what the problem is.
So this week they take on the Jets on Thursday night. It'll be interesting. You know, the first team may play a couple of series on both sides of the ball, but still a lot of weeding out to do. We did see Marquise Lee back at practice full today, which, you know.
You going to play on Thursday?
That was not determined, according to Gus Bradley today, but doubtful, he said. And, you know, outside of that, I mean, it's just, you know, we should have learned, and I certainly have learned over the years, that none of this means anything. It's just a chance for them to kind of work through whatever problems they think they have. Anything you read in the paper or you hear on television about somebody's good or somebody's bad, it gives you only the slightest hint of what somebody may be able to do once the real season begins.
All right, I'm going to play one of my favorite games, which is Make Sam the Bookmaker.
Okay.
And I'm going to throw out a couple of scenarios, and I want you to give the odds on it, how you would set the line.
Okay.
Odds that Marquise Lee does not make the opening day roster.
You mean part of the 53?
53.
60-40 that he's not there.
Oh, okay. 60-40 not there. All right.
Could be IR.
That's a good point.
He won't be released. He'll be a part of the Jaguars. But 60-40 not part of the opening 53.
Odds that Luke Jokel starts at left tackle on opening day.
40% chance.
You know which way I'm betting on that one.
No, I know.
Odds that Dante Fowler leads the team in sacks this year.
I think that's pretty good. I think he could, because not only do I think that he has what it takes, but I think they're going to put him in those situations where he's the guy.
Chances out of 100?
I'll say 7 in 10.
7 in 10.
Yes.
Wow.
Oh, because who else is there?
Well, everybody else on the roster. I mean,
Yeah, but 7 in 10. I mean, you know, Jared Odrick may have 5 sacks, but you know, which would be good from his position, and Malik Jackson may have 7, but Dante Fowler needs to have 10.
This is what I was driving at here is you're just assuming now, based on what we've seen so far, that it's an 8 or 10 sack guy right now, that Dante Fowler is that. Okay.
Not only, like I said, not only because of what I've seen that he can do, but the way the Jaguars are going to scheme their defense, they're going to give him the chances to do that. They're not going to kind of stick him somewhere where he's not going to be able to get to the quarterback.
I'm going to hold on to my money on that one for now. I may place a bet on that later as the season gets closer. Odds that Miles Jack plays 16 games as a rookie.
75% chance of that.
Oh, I'm betting the under. I don't think he's going to play every single game. I just coming back that soon off the knee. I can't see it. And
by the way, right before the scrimmage, I watched Miles Jack, and he did the exact right thing. And when you talk to this guy, you can tell that he wants to be a good football player, and he's got the brain and the kind of the sense to do it. The entire pregame ritual, he was a mirror image of Paul Puzzle.
Smart man.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, no, it doesn't matter if Paul walked backwards toward the bench. That's what Miles Jack did.
By the way, Paul Posluszny, it's not that he's a bad athlete at all. We look at him, we see white middle linebacker, and you think, oh, he's getting by on, hard work and grit.
Yeah.
He's has always been a very good athlete. And you talk about a strength, speed, combination, excellent, outstanding. But he's not the athlete that Miles Jack is. Posluszny never was. If you could somehow transplant Paul Posluszny's brain and soul into Miles Jack and assure that his leg was going to hold up for his career, you might have something there.
I think the first part of that is true. You can't guarantee his leg, but Miles Jack has that same je ne sais quoi that Paul Posluszny has.
I don't know what.
I don't know what. So
I don't speak Spanish.
Thank you. We
what? So then after the game against the Jets, it's back to take on the Buccaneers on August the 20th. That is the following Saturday. Football night in Jacksonville.
And don't forget that that week there are 2 practices against the Bucs.
Yep.
As well.
They'll be plenty sick of each other by the time they.
Yeah, and and what's interesting is the way the Jaguars set these first 2 games up. They're at least 10 days apart, whatever that is, and they really like that the Jets game is on a Thursday, and then there's an extended period of time again before they play again. So that's probably what you'll see from now on, if they can manage that, because they really like that. And
Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, by the way,
right?
So that you've got 9 days and then 7 days in between, without a game. And then quick turnaround for the final game, which doesn't matter, and no starter.
And pretty much nobody who played in Game 3 is going to play in Game 4 anyway. Very, very few, so it doesn't matter.
Why don't we just make that third game a doubleheader, all out of the way, give everybody a little chance to rest, and we'll move on.
What's funny about that last game is that it is a battle for position on the depth chart and on the roster.
Practice squad in some regard.
And practice squad. So even though it is not the stars, the intensity in that game is pretty spectacular.
Yeah.
I mean, guys are really playing hard, which is kind of a shame that they didn't give them the opportunity to do that Sunday night at the Hall of Fame game. Odds that the groundskeeper at the Hall of Fame keeps his job.
1 in 44 million. So you're saying there's a chance.
Here's a chance.
Odds that groundskeeper goes into the Hall of Fame, much lower than that.
It was interesting. Even Jim Irsay said, look, we're a $14 billion business, and we couldn't get the field right. But people don't realize that the Hall of Fame is somewhat of a separate entity. It's not run by the NFL. It's not really supported by the NFL. Maybe this will be the impetus that the NFL will kind of, get a little more involved with some of that $14 billion.
If only the NFL can find some way to come up with a couple of bucks. I don't know where they find it, but they'll find it somewhere along the line. That August 20th, by the way, if you're a major sports fan and want to take in a major day of sports in Jacksonville down at the sports complex, the Armada match is now a 2:30 game against Minnesota United, one of the best teams in the league, and then the Jaguars, and there'll be tailgating between for the whole thing. So I think there will probably be a few who will tackle both, but that's going to be a long day of soccer, partying, and football down at the sports complex.
Considering the kind of fans that both teams have and their ability to enjoy themselves, that you wonder whether somebody could make it all the way. It would be a pretty good challenge.
Hey, last point here I want to touch on. So far at the Olympics, there have been a couple of really interesting storylines that have developed. I'm going to give you my top 3 so far, things that have captured my attention. You tell me if you haven't. Number 3 is that Kerry Walsh Jennings is back again playing beach volleyball and looking like a Wonder Woman. She's amazing. That
really
is
playing well.
Going for the 4th gold medal. New partner this time. Misty May Trainer is retired. Number 2 is that the Brazilian fans have been chanting Zika at Hope Solo every time she kicks the ball because she posted a bunch of pictures with a bunch of, mosquito repellent and citronella candles or something.
She wore one of those, like a
mask.
beekeeper's outfit. Yeah.
The whole thing. Interesting little side note, by the way. Hope Solo, who's married to Jeremy Stevens, the former NFL tight end, actually consulted with a communicable disease doctor or an infectious disease doctor before traveling to find out what she needed to know. That woman, the doctor, is married to Sports Illustrated writer Grant Wall, who is the big soccer writer for Sports Illustrated. So, small world.
Hey, by the way, most of the athletes who are in Rio, who did have a lot of misgivings about going, have said that they felt like that the media coverage of the potential dangers there was somewhat overblown.
Maybe. We'll see what happens in the next couple of weeks. Number one, and I think this might be the greatest Olympic athlete story ever, is the Syrian refugee swimmer who was one of the 10 competing under the Olympic flag, who was fleeing Syria, boat capsized. She helped get the other refugees into a boat and then dragged the boat the rest of the way. And then she won her opening heat.
And the problem about that, Cole, is that since she doesn't have a publicist, or the Olympic Committee doesn't, have anybody that publicizes the refugee team, so to speak, that people who have seen that commercial don't realize that actually happened.
Yes, that may not be actual footage of her dragging the boat, but it's, by the way,
that really happened.
Great awareness marketing, by the way, by Visa to take those athletes on. I'm rooting for. I haven't seen what the rest of the results have been for, but all those. I mean, I can't even imagine. It's tough enough to be an Olympic athlete, much less when you have to flee your own country because you got some jerk being a jerk store in the in Syria or whatever country you're in. Pretty remarkable.
I do find myself really rooting for the American athlete. So, I mean, I mean, I know it sounds somewhat jingoistic, but I mean, whenever I see USA up on the screen, it's like I have to stop.
Yeah.
And even if they win bronze, I don't care. It's like, okay, perfect.
I'm a sucker for the women's road race the other day, and she comes and she's leading and winds up finishing fourth, and I have you and I both enjoy professional cycling, Tour de France and so forth. I don't watch women's cycling. It's not, there is no other time. This is what the Olympics is. The Olympics is the 2 weeks every 4 years where you're just sure that you really care about the athletes in this event, and then you realize when it's over,
not really.
Team handball really isn't that big a thing in my life.
Yeah, not exactly. But hey, when they wear that USA, I mean, I'm watching single skull.
Whatever they're doing, yeah, absolutely. We want to thank not only Swisher International, of course, our great sponsor, as they host us out at the Downtown Cigar Lounge routinely, but also our great sponsors, Champion Cycling, 3 locations: Arlington, Mandarin, and the Beach. And Sam, we need at some point, whenever everybody kind of we get a look at how the schedules are going to lay out, not the NFL schedule, but our personal schedules. I think we'll do maybe some post game stuff down at the Downtown Cigar Lounge for some of these games.
I certainly hope that happens, and I hope a lot of people will come by. And as that corner continues to develop, there's already a lot of activity there that's on Main Street, right? Is that Main Street? No.
Bay on one side,
yeah,
and Forsyth on the other.
Yeah, it's
coming the other way.
Yeah, coming the other way. There's already some live music and some restaurants there, and then once that the other corner kind of gets complete, I think you'll see a lot of activity there at the Downtown Cigar Lounge, because if you're looking for a place to just stop in and have some conversation and smoke and friendly, it certainly is that.
Yep, good place to do it. All right, that'll do it for the Sam and Cole podcast.
Wait a minute.
What?
Before we go,
yeah,
we must speak real quickly, because our last podcast, I wondered whether Tony Meola would make it.
Oh, yes, yes.
And then he didn't.
And he didn't.
And they decided to make a change there. They've named, is it Mark Lowry?
Mark Lowry. Yep.
Mark Lowry, who has been with the team.
Yep.
Right?
He actually came to the team last year when they let the last coach go, and he was brought in as an assistant under Eric Dade as an interim basis for 7 games. Was kept on as an assistant this year. Highly thought of. Has his UEFA A license, which, if you're a soccer person, you'll recognize that's a substantial thing. You get your A license. You'll do it. He's an Aston Villa fan. He grew up in England. He's an Englishman, and but loves being over here. And we're recording this on Monday, and I did the radio show with him tonight, and I've talked to him several times before. But just a very nice guy and really knows the game. The big challenge for him is going to be, can he make that transition from being the second assistant to being the head coach? In the North American Soccer League, it is a big task, but he's excited about it.
Without violating your employment status there, is there anything that you can tell us that that might have been outside of the fact that that they weren't performing well on the field? And is there anything you can tell us?
Yeah. So in addition to the fact that they only won 3 of 20 competitive games under Miola, including U.S. Open Cup. The big driver of this is that they had to save some money because they're going to pay their broadcaster a lot more next year.
Well, I took a lot of criticism on Twitter. What a shock from a variety of people who, and I'm always amused by, because usually it's people who are very young and don't realize the kind of the history that I have with the game, and certainly my relationship with you and all that. But it's one of those things. And I said this the last time when we questioned whether or not Tony would make it to the end of the season. I just felt like that if it wasn't some sort of giant personality clash between Mark Frisch, the owner or the managing partner, and Miola, that you needed to figure a place in the organization with him, because he was emerging as the face of the franchise, and consequently, people are attracted to that. Now, if he's not the head coach, you would think that you would try to find another spot for him, because he could keep that fan base kind of intact, even the casual fan. And I just feel like that it doesn't matter how good Lowry is, and certainly the fact that is it Adrian Heath?
Yes.
Is that his name? Adrian Heath, who was the Orlando City manager, who had been fired the first week of July. I guess he's still out there as a not employed. It doesn't matter who they bring in. Now they don't have a kind of a hook to hang your hat on as a fan, because it's unlikely that they're going to win a bunch of games right away. They may be a little more competitive, but it's unlikely. And that's what keeps casual fans kind of engaged, is winning games.
Yeah, there's that. I also think a big part of it is remaining engaged in the community. I think with soccer in particular, you sort of have 3 different areas. One is the soccer community, kids who are playing soccer. 2 is with, ardent soccer fans who care about the game. And then 3 are the casual soccer fans, who are the interested sports fans, who are reachable, right? Who you can get in. And I think whoever it is, whether it's Tony Miola or Mark Lowry or anybody else, they have to make the effort to be engaged with those fans and with those people. And because that's, one of the things that I think has been kind of cool to be a part of with the Armada is that they have really taken great strides to be, into the community,
right.
Really be plugged into the community.
Well,
and
Mark is from here, and that makes a difference.
Yes.
That his involvement with, you could call them academies, so to speak, to develop these younger players is absolutely authentic, because he's from here. He knows that there's good soccer in Ponte Vedra, there's good soccer in Mandarin, there's Jacksonville Fury plays, good. I mean, they know, he kind of knows that almost intrinsically from growing up here, that there are some soccer hotspots in town, that you can help develop.
Yeah, no doubt. And the fact that you have a guy who's third generation Jacksonville owning the team makes a difference. There's no doubt about that. So I think that's obviously Tony Meola had some curb appeal that Mark Lowry made.
Cachet.
Yeah, absolutely. But you can start to create that, and a lot of the people around the soccer fans around the nation, they've come to care about their coach because the coach has won, number one, and number two, he's been in the community. Maybe they didn't know who he was when it started, but boy, if they do those two things, they know and really care about him.
I wish him luck because I think it's a tall task at this point. But,
yeah, we'll see what happens. And there's a chance that he can earn his way into being the permanent guy for next year. There's a chance it just becomes a caretaker position. I mean, I think a lot of that's about performance and how the team responds. And he's highly thought of as a young coach. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, very good.
All right, that'll do it for the Sam and Cole podcast, right? This time, yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Thanks to our sponsors at Downtown Cigar Lounge and Swisher International, and Champion Cycling, their 3 locations: Arlington, the Beach, and Banner.
Thank you. You can follow Sam on Twitter at Sam Kavaris. Follow me on Twitter at Cole Pepper, and we will look forward to seeing you next time, maybe at the Downtown Cigar Lounge and right here on the Sam and Cole podcast.